calling our meeting to order, and we're going to begin with, I hope, a roll call.
Alternate Board Member Blankley, ex-officio Board Member Bruins,
Present.
Board Member Carr,
Here.
Board Member Carrasco, Board Member Cortese, alternate Board Member Davis, Board Member Dieppe,
Here.
alternate Board Member Ellenberg, Board Member Jones,
Here.
alternate Board Member Nis, Board Member Licardo, Board Member McAllister, alternate Board
Here.
Member Miller,
Here.
Board Member Nunez,
Present.
alternate Board Member O'Neill,
Present.
Board Member Peralez, Board Member Rennie, Vice Chair Hendricks,
Attending.
Chair Chavez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and if Bob Nunez, if you could lead us.
Yes, I will. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to ask if there are any changes to the agenda or any requests from my colleagues to make changes to the agenda. Seeing no changes to the agenda, we're going to move on. Let me just ask, do we actually need a motion for orders of the day? I know I ask this every time, but we don't if there's no change, right?
Correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. There are no awards and commendations. We're going to move to public comment, and this is for items that are within the purview of the board, but not on our agenda. Today, I'm going to limit public comment to 1 minute. And let's go ahead and ask if the clerk could call our public comment. Thank you.
Yes, Chair. Roland, I will unmute you, accept the unmute, and begin speaking.
Good morning, Director. So quickly in 1 minute, there's a memo from in your packet asking for 2 resignations. The first one is very simple. When someone either intimidates or quite frankly threatens the VTA general auditor, you have a problem that needs to be addressed, because until you do, Nuria or anybody else will never be successful. The second one is, so what happened to Measure A is how somehow you ended up using the same auditor for 12 years. It's a scandal. That's why Measure A was raped and pillaged. The third item is to ask you is to have another state audit. If you don't arrange this audit, I can assure you somebody else will. My last comment is, we all know that the evidence for what I just said is contained within videos that you're refusing to release. If you don't release these videos, somebody else will. Thank you. I'm done.
Next, we have MOC. I am going to unmute you, accept the unmute, and begin speaking. Okay, I'm going to go to the next caller. And
hello.
Oh.
Hello.
There you go. We can hear you
Okay.
now.
All right. On Monday, June 8th, I was on the phone for hours and hours trying to comment on item 3B on the agenda. And I had to get off at 2 o'clock. I started at 9:20. I had to get off at 2 o'clock. And this is unacceptable for citizens to have to sit for that many hours. I was trying to address the VTA presentation on June 8th, which is totally inadequate for providing security and safety for riders. VTA admits in its own written documentation that drivers have been assaulted trying to enforce the mask requirement. We cannot open up the VTA until you can guarantee me, as a disabled senior with a compromised immune system, that it is safe to ride the VTA. I'm also trying to get all of your emails, and I have been trying for over a week, and I am being stonewalled. I need all the members' emails on the board so that I can send you a report. I've been documenting on VTA for 30 years.
Theodore, before you go to the next speaker, I just wanted to note for the record that Board Member Perales has joined us. Thank you.
Okay. Next speaker is Beekman. I will unmute you, accept the unmute, and begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
You can, Blair.
Thank you. With the MTC now involved, I hope all Bay Area CHR options can now be a shared process of open good thought. This can include an express CHR line from LA to Tracy or a railway from Merced to Tracy. With an SF BART line to Tracy and some interesting East Bay mass transit and public transit connections in between. This can also have less housing displacement issues between San Jose, the Peninsula, and SF. A good luck that we can all continue VTA supportive housing ideas. Very low, extremely low, and mixed income housing is simply our good practices and our good roadmap towards honest sustainability, social equity, and even ideas of more positive local community energy future with renewables. And to conclude, can you please consider using 90 seconds for public comment in the future? Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. We have no more public comment. I do want to ask our staff, I believe all of our emails, all of our public email addresses are on VTA's website. Can I confirm that with the clerk?
No, Madam Chair, but we can distribute your emails upon request. Your public emails.
I would just, maybe if it takes a GNA action, we can do that, but all of our emails are public for the places that we serve. So I would just say, let's just put them on so that people can access them on our website.
Got it. Thank you.
Anybody have any concerns about that? We should be available to the public. Okay, good.
No, I agree.
All right, thank you. So we're going to now move to our consent calendar. We have one item, and that's 6.1. And I'll just ask if there are any members of the public who'd like to speak on consent. Well, actually, let me start with my colleagues. Is it all right to leave this item on consent? If so, can I get a motion for this consent item?
So moved, Ricardo.
Second.
Okay, that was
Bob.
okay. Bob was the seconder. Okay, thank you. Did you get who was the primary motion maker?
Ricardo.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. If Elaine's got it, then I've got it. All right.
Okay.
So if there are no comments from my colleagues, I will go to the public speakers on this item. Roland?
Roland, please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Thank you. So first of all, I've got no objections to this contract. You should approve it. The reason I'm addressing you is to bring 3 points to your attention. The first one, there were $7 million in transportation impact fees for the I-Star Great Oaks development. That was supposed to go to the connection between Coyote Creek and the Blossom Mill Caltrain station, not the back of a narco station on Monterey Highway that's frequented by homeless. The second point is that you revert back to the original plan, which by the way goes right by the Caltrain parking lot. You're going to save approximately $5 million because you're going to reduce the length of the overpass by half and you're going to eliminate the 2 tunnels. And the last point is, if you read Measure B, there is a bike and ped element to this project. And I don't understand why the entire funding is coming from the highway interchange funds, why some of it should be coming out from bike and peds, which is $250 million. Thank you, I'm done.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion and a second. May I request a roll call vote, please?
Carr? Member Carr?
Yes.
Carrasco?
Aye.
Cortese?
Aye.
Dieppe?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
McAllister?
Yes.
Miller?
Aye.
Nunez?
Aye.
Perales?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Chavez?
Yes. Thank you.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. All right, so we're going to move on to item 7.1, and this is a contract award for the VTA Auditor Internal Audit Services. This item is to award a task order contract to Macias Jenny and O'Connell LLP for VTA Auditor General and Internal Audit Services. The G&A Committee is recommending approval to my colleagues. We had a very extensive discussion and an extensive presentation. So what I'm going to do is ask staff to take it away. And I think the presentation should be 5 minutes. I want to ask that all of you let the presentation occur. Then we'll go to the public, and then I'll come to you for questions and comments. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Chavez and board members. I'm Stephen Flynn. I'm the project manager for the Auditor General RFP. As defined in the VTA Administrative Code, the Auditor General is responsible for assisting the board in fulfilling its fiduciary responsibilities through risk management, audit, and efficiency improvement processes. It serves as a key independent advisor to the board. The Auditor General is selected, retained, and reports directly to the board and is overseen by the Governance and Audit Committee. Development of the RFP for a new Auditor General began in February due to the previous firm, RSM, requesting release from its contract. Given that, an 8-member evaluation panel was convened comprised of individuals from a broad and diverse spectrum of disciplines, expertise, and perspective in order to, on behalf of the board, be able to thoroughly and appropriately evaluate proposing firms. This included a gender balance, a balance of VTA staff, as well as individuals external to VTA, board representation, both past and present, local city council experience, auditors and CPAs, and individuals very knowledgeable on the Auditor General process, as well as those very unfamiliar with it. So 3 submissions were received for the RFP. The evaluation panel determined all 3 firms were very qualified and would provide acceptable service to the board. However, the panel was unanimous in recommending contract award to Macias, Jenny, and O'Connell. Hereafter, we'll just call them MGO. Several key attributes helped separate MGO from the other firms. First was their demonstrated ability to communicate effectively and concisely, both verbally and written. Second was the firm being California-based, as well as a very strong local and Bay Area presence of the core team. Third was MGO's demonstrated understanding of VTA, Santa Clara County, and the Silicon Valley, as well as the challenges VTA faces. Lastly, they had a very clear understanding of the Auditor General's mission of directly serving the board while emphasizing the need to establish collaborative and cooperative relationships throughout all levels of the organization in order to optimally serve the board. So the contract establishes the umbrella agreement defining the general terms and conditions for each task order, which in effect are mini contracts. It's a 4-year base term with 3 one-year optional extensions that are exercised at the sole discretion of the Governance and Audit Committee. The contract defines the maximum amount that can be spent without additional board authorization. At this point, it should be emphasized that this action does not specify nor guarantee the amount that will be spent on the services with MGO. Instead, that's determined by the board through its approval of the annual Auditor General Work Plan, the development of which is specifically guided by and then recommended for board approval by the Governance and Audit Committee. That concludes my brief report. And with that, I'd like to introduce Scott Johnson, who would serve as the Auditor General, and ask him to provide a brief overview of MGO, his management team, and what he sees as the priorities for the AG function. Scott?
Thank you, Stephen. And we do have a very brief presentation we'd like to make. But first, let me say good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board and staff and the public. I, along with our team, we're very excited and pleased to be considered for this opportunity to serve as your Auditor General. But first, I just wanted to start out by giving a shout out to the board and staff for your leadership on the historic moment last week on the opening ceremonies of Bart's Berryessa extension. You know, I'm a Bay Area native, and it was very exciting to me that Bart is now in San Jose and definitely within the Silicon Valley and more to come. A historical moment indeed. In regards to our staff and our qualifications, on the next slide, we bring a very qualified and experienced team to serve you. With me today on this call is Rebecca Haggerty. She's our proposed Deputy Auditor General, and Linda Hurley, our proposed alternate Auditor General. As to my background over the past 6 years as partner, I've led our firm's state and local government advisory practice. And previously, I spent almost 25 years working in leadership roles for public agencies which includes Santa Clara County as Controller Treasurer, the City of San Jose. I was Director of Finance for over 10 years, and I was also an Assistant City Administrator for the City of Oakland. Now, Rebecca will be assisting me by being the boots on the ground, on-site manager, helping with our day-to-day activities at VTA. She lives locally. She's a graduate of San Jose State University. She holds 3 certificates. And in addition, she brings extensive experience working at local government agencies in the Bay Area, including 2 that are very similar in experience at the Port of Oakland and the County of Santa Clara, similar to what we would be doing as Auditor General for VTA. Now, Linda, she'll serve as our quality control technical review partner, and she's responsible for quality and compliance with professional standards in our firm policies. She's also a Bay Area native, and she's a graduate of San Jose State University. She holds, and she has over 20 years of experience serving state and local government. We have some other key members that will assist in serving VTA that I really won't go over at this time, given the time. We also have a number of subject matter experts and over 500 professionals in the firm that we can call upon for assistance. I wanted to go to the next slide about MGO. This is just a quick snapshot of who we are as a firm. The cornerstone of our foundation is California. We have 10 California offices, including one in San Jose, along with other offices around the country and internationally. Also, you noticed our logo, MGO type A typical. We're not a typical CPA firm. We are a professional services firm with broad services with a broad industry base. And that highest concentration is serving state and local government, with the focus serving California agencies, including the state of California, many large and mid-sized counties, including LA, San Diego, Santa Clara County, to name a few. And also we serve many cities, including San Jose, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and many others throughout the state. We have extensive experience serving transit and transportation, including VTA, LA Metro, MTC, Bart, and others. On the next slide, we have a broad range of services for our clients based on their needs. And with that, we kind of color-coded these icons. Those 4 green icons are the areas that we believe are the services that we'll be providing as Auditor General and internal audit services and governance for VTA. We may do a little bit of that, those in blue, but primarily it's the ones that are coded in green. On the next slide, slide 5, this is just really a good summary of our role as the Auditor General's Office. Our charge is how we will serve you and the things we cannot do as Auditor General. Primarily, we're here to serve the board, and we're reporting directly through the Governance and Audit Committee. We'll be helping the organization mitigate risk and continue to be innovative as an organization. I also want to mention that we plan to provide more direct and frequent communications both to the board and to the committee. I plan to have quarterly, at least semi-annual meetings with each board member to discuss issues, concerns, as well as we plan to issue a monthly status report through the GMA committee and quarterly reports to the board, just to keep you abreast of current status, issues, and opportunities. And finally, the last slide summarizes some key points in our approach. It really is a partnership. We don't work under a gotcha approach, but rather a partnership as an objective, independent resource to the board, the staff, to the committees, and to the public. So by assisting the board in its responsibilities to mitigate risk, identify opportunities, we're here to help the organization, evaluating and recommending best practices, identifying innovative opportunities, and preserving VTA's public reputation. So again, thank you for your time and consideration. We're very excited about this opportunity to work with you. And we're available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. I'm gonna first go to the public and then I'll come back to the board.
Roland, I will unmute you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Thank you. So through the chair, I've only got one question. Is why didn't Mr. Flynn or Mr. Johnson disclose the fact that MGO have been the auditor for the 2000 Measure A for the last 12 years, 1 to 12 years? That's my first question. Also, how did Mr. Flynn ended up awarding a task order at the GNA meeting, even though the contract hadn't been approved? But moving on to Bart and the expertise. That project is half a project, 10 years late, $1 billion over budget, currently carry on less than 400 passengers a day. And I guess that makes MGO totally qualified to be the auditor for Bart Phase 2 and how we're going to be spending our money. So I'm going to leave it out there for you to basically ask the right questions and maybe consider where you should be awarding the audit contract to Crow Howard LLC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to see if there are any comments from my colleagues. Glenn?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to go ahead and let the board know that I was a member of the selection committee team. And first off, I want to thank all the members of the team and the evaluation panel that were there, especially during their feedback session. They were very open with their comments. I also want to say all the candidate companies that we dealt with were all capable. My rationale for recommending MGO was their ability to bring quality skills and their knowledge of the area. They bring local resources, and I think they give a strong ability to bring trusted feedback and direct relationship with the individual board members. And I also want to disclose that I've worked with MGO and Scott Johnson on the 2016 Measure A Oversight Housing Bond.
Thank you. Wait, is that a motion, Glenn? You're on mute.
I would be happy to move that we accept and move forward with the contract with MGO.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Larry.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry. So we have a motion and a second. I'll now go to my colleagues for comments. Mr. McAllister?
Yeah, it's more of a question of the role of the Auditor General, and nothing against the company, but as we look at the scope of the Auditor General, because when you mention fiduciary responsibilities or effectiveness and that they do performance reviews, how detailed do they get into it? And so like we have our strategic plan. Does someone say, okay, look at the strategic plan and how VTA is performing to its goals of the strategic plan? Or when you were talking fiduciary, when the board approves spending money on a project that doesn't meet the current requirements, does the Auditor General look at those type of deals? And a little bit like on Bart, do they look at, do they dig deep into Bart's accounting of the dollars, and so that there's a fair oversight because it's fairly extensive? Is that something that the Auditor General would be requested to do?
So let me respond, and then I'll ask the Nuria. I see you popping up, so I'll go to Nuria. But the way that the process works normally is that the Auditor General does what's called a risk assessment and analysis, and then what Scott was talking about is they go and they talk to us, the board. They do a for lack of a better word, sort of, they call it a heat map, where they determine where we're at highest risk. The G&A committee, working with the Auditor General, help prioritize the areas that they're going to go and examine. And if a board member wants to make a recommendation for that, they certainly can, but you would do that with your meetings with them to help determine that. And so in terms of scope, the scope is really more rooted in how many hours we get from them and then what the board prioritizes that we want them to examine. And I don't know, Nuria, if you wanted to add anything to that.
Well, Madam Chair, you're absolutely correct. And what I would like to add is a few things. First of all, the strategic plan of the authority is a strategic plan and the vision of the board of directors, directing our organization on its future and the areas of priority. So if there's any question about strategic plan, goals, and whether we're following them, I would start with looking at establishing the strategic objectives and then using those as a measure or metric as we move forward with performance. Yes, the Auditor General may be asked by the GNA and or by board members to the GNA committee members to add items to the work plan. And the work plan then helps define the heat map that then gets prioritized. So that's one. As it relates to BART, there have been so many comments about BART and its progress and other issues. The transit industry is heavily regulated, not only locally, but nationally through the federal government. And the Auditor General, past Auditor Generals have in fact done review of the BART program, and I'll be happy to share those with the board if you were not on the board when it happened or have not had access to that information. So there are previous reviews of different aspects of the BART project, and my understanding is that as this GNA committee starts to outline the areas for emphasis for this new Auditor General, there is going to be continued monitoring and reporting on either general issues as relates to the program itself or specific areas of the program. The most recent, and I'll be very quick, the most recent was a review of the invoicing that BART had submitted to VTA as part of professional services and their support throughout the history of the project.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
This is the vote for item 7.1, MGO contract. Carr,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Cortese,
Aye.
Dieppe,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo,
Aye.
McAllister,
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
Nunez,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Chair Chavez.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. And I want to thank the good work of our staff, and thank you, Stephen, for your good work and Glenn for yours. And I'm really excited about our new partnership with MGO. I'm going to remind my colleagues, we have a lot of issues to cover today. And actually, I'm not reminding my colleagues, I'm going to actually say this to the staff, that you've all been given a time for presentations, and I'm going to ask you to live within those times. If not, I'm going to stop your presentation. And mostly because I want to create enough opportunity for the board to answer questions. And so with that, I'm going to let we're going to go to action item number 7.2, and this is our safety plan. And we're going to approve, or our goal is to approve the VTA's public transportation and safety plan. Angelique Gaeta, our Chief of System Safety and Security, will provide a brief presentation. Her presentation is 5 minutes. Then we're going to go to the public. Then we're going to go to the board. All right, Angelique, welcome.
Thank you. And I'm also going to introduce our System Safety Supervisor, Susan Lucero, who will take on the second part of the presentation. And with that, away we go. So some of the things we've already shared at the SSTPNO committee include the background of the PTASP, but it's a new agency safety plan that's required by every transit agency nationally. And it is a new structure of system safety through hazard resolution with data-driven approaches and established performance measures and target objectives. The deadline for us to pull this together was July 20th. Because of COVID, that is not being enforced until the end of the year, but we were on top of things and we've got it done. The approval agency for the PTASP is the CPUC, and they have been charged by the FTA to go through all of the agency safety plans for California. We have submitted our agency safety plan to the CPUC, and you'll see from the packet that we got preliminary approval, which is great because this was a very big task and a very heavy lift for staff. They're just waiting for the board approval, and then they can give us final approval. Next slide, please. PTASP is based on 4 principles of system safety management, and those include management policy, risk management, assurance, and promotion. Next slide, please. And what you see there is those components broken down. There's a heavier emphasis on safety risk management and safety assurance because that's where the bulk of our work will occur. It involves hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk mitigation. We also look at safety performance through monitoring and measurement, management of change. So if there's any change in either the staffing, the service, the structures, they all go through a process to make sure there's no gap when that change occurs. And each one of those have different processes that we go through. And then also with all of those statistics, and Susan will be going over those in a second, we look for continuous improvement. And all of that is included in our agency safety plan. When it's finally approved by the CPUC, we engage in safety promotion. That includes literature, marketing, training, and Susan will speak to that during her presentation. And then just to back you up to the first box, you'll see the management policy that's actually documented in the first few pages of the agency safety plan that you were given ahead of time. And it talks about delegation of authority and responsibility. That is one of the key areas as well, because we're making sure safety permeates the entire agency and doesn't just lie with the System Safety and Security Division. And with that, next slide, and I'll turn it over to Susan Lucero.
In order to reflect the broad and varied nature of public transportation, FTA's National Safety Plan relies on safety performance measures that can be applied to all modes of transportation and are based on data that's currently submitted to the National Transit Database. The first measure is total number of NTD reportable events, such as safety events, collisions, system security events, such as vandalism, personal security events, such as an assault. The second measure, total number of NTD reportable fatalities. A fatality is death due to a collision, derailment, fire, hazardous material spill, act of God, system or personal security event, or other safety event. Third measure, total number of NTD reportable injuries. An injury for both non-rail and rail modes is considered any damage or harm to persons requiring immediate medical attention away from the scene because of a reportable event. Agencies must report each person transported away, whether or not they appear to be injured. Rail modes are required automatically to report all serious injuries, whether or not they were transported. Fourth, means distance between major mechanical failure is our system reliability. A major mechanical failure is a failure of some mechanical element that prevents the vehicle from completing a scheduled revenue trip or trip because actual movement is limited or because of a safety concern. Next slide. Agencies should select performance targets that are appropriate for their operations and environment. A successful performance targets are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART. We worked with our consultant to identify safety performance targets, and then we internally reviewed data, and then reviewed data that we submit to NTD and CPC to determine that we had a reasonable starting point for our targets. For light rail, our target is to have less than 45 total events annually, less than 0.13 per 10,000 vehicle revenue miles, 0 fatalities annually, less than 25 injuries, and more than 50,000 miles between failures. Next slide. For bus, 150 total events annually, 0 fatalities, less than 50 injuries, and more than 30,000 miles between failures. And again, we're going to be reevaluating these annually along with our PTAS. Next slide. Safety promotion is our opportunity to provide visibility of our board and GM's management's commitment to safety. We want to ensure we are creating and improving safety by increasing safety awareness by communication and training. Our goal is to make employees aware of those safety priorities and safety concerns through VTA, which includes our own duties and responsibilities because safety is everyone's responsibility. We will provide the appropriate training for all staff regardless of their level within VTA to provide visibility and knowledge of SMS. This will ensure employees receive training to do their job safely and gives shared ownership of our agency's mission. The training commitment demonstrates management support of establishing SMS effectively. We are currently working on our strategy to reach out to employees utilizing literature and incremental waves, initially August through December, and evaluating other forms of training outlets. And we're working with our marketing team for more creative strategies. As we continue and learn and grow through this process, we are going to be ensuring that we're providing the most effective training for employees so they can relate to their own responsibilities within VTA. Next slide. This concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much. Well done. And I'm going to now move over to see for public comment, and then we'll go to the board. Thanks, ladies.
You did good. Good job. Roland, I will unmute you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Thank you. And very briefly to the chair, the only question I have is why wasn't this presentation on consent? And if it was, you would have had substantially more time to comments from the people who elected you. Thank you. I'm done.
Next is Beekman. I will unmute you, accept the unmute, and begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you for the check. I hope the VTA's own efforts towards good public policy with technology can be respected at this time. Looking at good civil rights and civil protection practices with US Census data collection at this time will be important in the era of COVID-19. As the VTA is acquiring new signal tech and has approved in public meetings over $40 million in technology this past month, a reminder that signal timers and geofencing will have an important role in the future of data collection, surveillance, and what can be good minimal use practices. I hope the VTA can help the city of San Jose learn to talk about these subjects more openly again with what can be good public policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to go to the board. Glenn?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
Please do.
I move that we accept or approve VTA's Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan.
Do we have a motion? We have a second?
Second.
Who is the seconder?
Board Member Jones.
Oh, thank you, Chappie. So we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, very quickly, if I may.
Please.
I just wanted to make sure that the board members and public understood that this item needed to be presented verbally, that the board of directors needed to hear the effort that went into creating this PTASP. It is a requirement of the federal government. Putting it on consent would have been fine for expediting an agenda, but it would have not met the intent of what the federal government has asked us to do. So I want to thank the staff and I want to thank the CPUC for their assistance. Now we're prepared with your vote to present this to CPUC, which is the last step in this process. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Nadia. And the only thing I wanted to say is for my colleagues is that this is and I know this went through committees. I want to thank the Public Safety and Public Safety Committee. I'm sorry, I'm not forgetting what the right name of it is, our Transportation Safety Committee, and thank them for their good work. And Angelique, to you and your team, this is a really, really heavy lift. The level of scrutiny that we get from the federal government is no small task. So you really have to turn over every stone and really make public safety a priority. So I just wanted to say, Angelique, to you and to your staff, really thank you. Amazing, amazing work. So with that, may we take a roll call vote?
Carr?
Yes.
Carrasco?
Yes.
Cortese?
Aye.
Dieppe?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
McAllister?
Yes.
Miller?
Aye.
Nunez?
Aye.
Peralez?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Chair Chavez?
Yes, thank
Motion
you.
passed unanimously.
Thanks again for the good work. We're now going to move to item 7.3, and this is an informational item regarding Bart's extension to Santa Clara and the Federal Transportation Administration's expedited project delivery pilot program. Now, this is an informational item, but it's so meaty, and this is partly why I was rushing us a bit. This is going to be a 40-minute presentation, and I want to ask my colleagues, if you're okay with withholding questions, just please write them down. Don't try to remember them. If you're like me, you got to write them down. But I want to let the staff get through the entire presentation and then really take the time we need to walk through this presentation. Is that all right with everybody? I know it's a long presentation, but it's meaty and actually, I mean, yeah, you're okay? Everybody's okay? All right. So with that, if I could, this is, like I said, it's a 40-minute presentation, and I believe that Takis is going to get us started, and Raj is going to chime in on this particular presentation.
Madam Chair, before they take over, I just wanted to share with you all that I'm getting ready to submit this application. And one of the reasons that I wanted to bring this presentation to you is really a follow-on from the earlier meetings where we gave a detailed description of what the alignment was. This application is the first time in the history of the federal government that they're going to receive an application for this program that was approved several years ago, 2 authorizations ago. But more importantly, there is so much first that are happening with this application that I felt it's necessary for the board to fully understand the steps that we're taking, what's going to be included. We have all of our funding toolbox has all the tools in it. The only one that's missing is the federal funding. So therefore, this is not about, this presentation is not to discuss funding and where we're getting it from. It's to share with you what we're going to be including in the application and what we have discussed with the Federal Transit Administration so that we can submit this. It's my intent to release the application in a few weeks. So with that, let me turn it over now to Takis so he can go over the particulars.
Thank you, Nuria. Madam Chair, members of the board, good morning to all of you. Very exciting morning to take you through this. As you can see on my page 2, the presentation today will have 3 dimensions, if you like it. I will discuss with you the FTA Expedited Project Delivery Program, and I have standby on the phone 2 federal funding experts, Kevin Keramoto and Sean Liberton, in case you have detailed questions about how the federal funding works. Then I will take you through our contracting plan, the schedule, and the cost. And then my great friend and our great CFO, Raj Srinath, will take you through how we're going to pay to do this project. Page 3. Like Nuria mentioned, Madam Chair, that we are not here to discuss the alignment. Thank God we do have a project. We have a final definition of our project. As you know, the project is 6 miles long, 2.4 miles, single board stacked for the downtown area, the 12,500 feet from 13th Street to Stockton Avenue. Then we have 2.6 miles of a same single board, but the tracks will be side by side, and 1 mile of at-grade section. For that, geographically speaking, the tunnel, it will connect our newly opened Berryessa tail tracks all the way down to Stockton at the west side. And from there, it will be a surface track to the new haul yard and building a station in Santa Clara. The project, it will build 4 stations, 3 underground stations, Diridan, downtown San Jose, and 28th Street. And also, we will build 2 mid-tunnel ventilation emergency egress facilities. You all recall those 2 facilities became the catalyst and the breakthrough for us to have a project that's in consensus with Bart and all the safety criteria and so on. As I said, we're gonna build a yard for some 200 rail cars, and we're gonna provide the last payment to Bart for the last set of vehicles we need for this extension. I believe we have 48 vehicles. And then we're ready to start our real estate acquisitions. As I indicated on this page, there are 80 transactions, real estate transactions, we know as of this moment, and still we're progressing with our design and so on. 9 full fee acquisitions, 62 permanent easements, and our general counsel calls them acquisitions as well, I agree, and 9 temporary easements. For that 80 transactions, work is ready to start after next week, after we inform you of all this. On page 4, it's nothing new to you. You have been around this project much longer than I. There is a good chronology here. Just to refresh your memories, it was not too long ago when we executed the Bart operations and maintenance agreement back in May 2020. You all recall that last Friday, we opened our first leg to San Jose, the Bart extension to Berryessa. And now, as Nuria said, in the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, we should submit our application for the federal funding. On page 5, just to remind the board that it was a year ago, back in August 2019, when you hosted here the FTA administrator and the pledging by FTA of 125 million towards this project. And very well defined and documented. We are the only one, and we do have the attention of the Federal Transit Administration in order to be awarded and funded to get moving to the construction phase. On page 6, I'm responding to a question people ask, what are the benefits of EPD? Why are you guys pushing for the EPD? Well, there are 3 primary benefits here. From the day we submit the application, the federal government has 120 days by law to complete the review and give us the green light, or I hope no other light, just the green light. The second thing is they don't compare our project to other projects. They don't compare us to the 2nd Avenue subway extension on some LA Metro projects and so on. No evaluation ratings to justify this project. That's a major plus. And the third thing is, as I told you a minute ago, this project has been accepted already by the VTA into the EPD program. For that, these are 3 positive things why we selected to be on the EPD program. On page 7, Elaine, it's an element of the EPD application. The law, the federal law is asking us to identify possibilities for public-private partnership. But we have identified and we're working for a TOD, transit-oriented development, and another component to that maybe will be design, build, and finance certain pieces. We don't know exactly which contract we're gonna assign that. Work is underway. We have some of the experts in the business working on that, and we hope as we analyzing, we decide which of the packages, the construction packages, we assign this component. On page 8, Elaine, the application requires 5 items. The final project scope, cost, and schedule. We do have a final project scope. I just reviewed with you on page 2. And today I'm gonna share with you the estimated cost and the schedule. The financial plan and the funding sources is the other major element, and our CFO will take you through in a few minutes. The public-private partnerships, and as I indicated to you, we're working on it. We have some great firms with expertise in that area, and we hope in the next couple of weeks we make the decision to insert to our application. Project justification, we have thousands of pages which justify the project, and we are putting it in the federal format. And the project management plan is the project management plan, which we are now finalizing, which will be the rules book, if you like it, the book upon which we're gonna manage this project, staff the project, provide the expertise, and top of all, the accountabilities for all involved, Page 9, and I'm sharing this with all of you for the first time, and that's what's gonna be on our application, is our contracting plan. We learned, although we haven't finished the lessons learned from phase 1 yet, but the lessons learned are in front of us, and we see some of them. For that, based on what we know today from phase 1 and plus our multi-years experience in building rail transit projects, we established a plan, a contracting plan, which has 4 major delivery packages. And I like for 1 minute to take you through those 2 packages and explain to you very briefly the thought process. The first package will be a systems contract. Systems contract is everything which is not concrete and rebar. It's everything we need, the railroad needs to run. And why we have this contract separate? One of the lessons learned to us from phase 1 was don't put the systems as part of the civil construction. And point well taken as a lesson learned, but coming from major authorities like the Washington Metro, the systems always, they were separate packets following the civil construction. But we're gonna award a separate systems contract, approximate value $500 million. The second contract, which is really the signature contract for this project, is our tunnel and track work contract. Estimated value about $2 billion. And all these numbers and the dollars, and Razi will explain to all of you later, is year of expenditures dollars. It's not today's dollars. Have been inflated, have been adjusted for future years, midpoint of construction as the federal government requires. The technique we're gonna use here to deliver the tunnel is a progressive design build. Some of you will say, we heard about design build, what's progressive design build? Progressive design build is it's a variation to the design build. The contractors all told us through the construction forum that the difficulty of doing a tunnel like this, the first in the United States, a 48-foot diameter, through a downtown, and in soil conditions which describe as not very competent soils, it will require special design by the contractor. And the progressive design build technique offers exactly and satisfies these issues. We're gonna hire the contractor with a design team. He's gonna come on board. He's gonna advance the design to 20, to 25, to 30, to 40%, whichever he feels. He knows the project well, has addressed all the risks, and submit to VTA final price to the completion. And someone will ask, anybody else use this in California? The answer is, by law, we do it, and our general counsel checked that. But not too far away from here, we're talking to our colleagues from the Silicon Valley Clean Water Authority. They have two major underground tunneling jobs going on right now, and they're using the progressive design build. For that, the experience sharing already started. We are talking with them, and we know how this thing works. And as I said, in addition to the tunnel, we're gonna put the track work inside. And we are considering working with our general counsel's office to do maybe pre-qualification of the track contractors and provide the list to the tunneler. Therefore, no questions there. Oh, that didn't meet the Bart criteria, I didn't do that, and so on. Well, we have work to do on that. The third contract, it's the Newell Yard and the Santa Clara Station. We believe this to be the approximate value around $500 million. And that it will build the yard, the maintenance facility. It's about a mile of the track work, you know, the line and the track work, the station, and also 500 space parking garage. And the other contract, the other major contract is our stations contract. 3 stations included here, the 2 downtown stations and the 28th Street station. Estimated value, $1 billion. We're gonna follow the design build method because we think this is the best way to go. And also, in addition to the 3 stations, we built 1,200 parking spaces on the 28th Street Little Portugal station, and the adits. Adits are the connection facilities of the tunnel to the stations. And of course, all these contracts, by contract, they have to get ahead before they go to major construction and relocate the utilities and do the preparation of the site. Flipping to page 10 is our schedule. Our schedule here, you can see it. We are considering for the tunnel, which drives the whole schedule, something like 70 months. And I wanted to take 2 minutes here to discuss with you why 70 months and not 60, not 50 or 40 or whichever. A lot of people speak about these things. For that, I'd like to give you the facts. There is this tunnel, as I said before, is the first in the United States when it comes down to rail. And the tunneling machine, the TBM as known, is not something which you can go to Home Depot and buy it. It's a very unique, it's very specialized, and here is a soundbite for all of you. Right now in the United States, in the world, there are 46 tunneling jobs going like this, 46 feet and above. The tunneling machines, the TBMs, are coming 82% from two countries, Germany and Japan. Therefore, the message here is not only we have a unique tunneling machine, has to come from outside the United States. And our experience of talking to the contractors and the engineers and everybody else, we need to allow in our schedule 12 to 14 months. That is the answer why I estimate here to be 70 months duration. As we're gonna go on with this and we have the one-on-ones with the contractor, we may adjust accordingly. But 70 months is the baseline for that to go out, which means subtract a year and a half to order the machine, do the design, and then have good 5 years to finish the construction and install the track work. For that, and then of course, another lesson learned here, you can see it from phase one, don't shortcut the Bart activities. Let Bart take a year and a half to do what they have to do. And as I said before, that it will require our project because of the 2 decks operation, the stack option, if you like it will require some training for the unions, for the labor unions, which they're gonna operate the Bart trains and the station agents and so on. For that, we work with Bart here to put almost a year and a half. And after that, we're gonna have the CPUC. CPUC here has to learn how to certify a project like this. They haven't certified a project with platforms over under. They have to really work with us. For that's the schedule. There are, of course, 6,000 pages behind this with all the details and how we derive to this summary. On page 11 is our estimated budget. And I like to take you through these elements. And I know probably I'm a little bit confusing here because I told you before what the construction contracts, each of them is the estimated value. And now you see it here in a different format. Well, this is the federal government's requirement. This is the VTA standard cost category. In the application, we cannot put cost by contract. We have to put it in this and this directive, if you like it, in these line items. For that, I'll take you through these line items quickly, and then I have a couple more notes to offer for your thinking and questioning. The items here, the line item 10 to 50, which is construction, is 4.2 billion, which is similar to what I showed you a few minutes ago about the 4 contracts equal some $4 billion. And then beyond or below that line is the real estate. I told you we have some 80 transactions. Our budget for that, estimated through appraisals, through the acquisition people we have in VTA, plus outside experts, we established a budget of $318 million. Furthermore, as I told you before, we have to pay the last payment to Bart for the 48 some vehicles. That's $205 million. And then the professional services, line item 80. And I want to take 1 minute here, Madam Chair, to explain what's included here, because the line item 80 is defined very clearly by the federal government. And it includes basically owner and third-party costs. For that, in this case, in this number is included the VTA employee cost, the people like myself and my staff who are gonna work on this project. Also includes the Bart engineers who develop the criteria specifically to our program and work and co-located Bart is moving with 15 engineers to one of our gateway buildings to be very close to where all our engineering staff will be. For that, I give you some numbers here because I worked a little bit because I knew some of you will ask a lot of questions on that. For that, I like to share with you a little bit more insights here. 2 points. Point one, the federal government requires for projects like this line item to not be less than 20% of the total project. And because they don't believe you can do anything for less than 20%. Sometimes they ask 20 to 25, but 20% is the number here if you do the calculations. That's number one. Point number two is we are talking 65 FTEs, full-time equivalent employees between Bart and VTA working in this project for the next 10 years. 2 more points. Inside in this number also included the professional services spending by the construction contractor. The federal government requires the people who are engineers and practicing engineering for the contractors to be identified in this line item. For that, if we open a contract of $1 billion and inside that contract is 70 million for the contractor to do the design to get to where he's supposed to get, this 70 million is captured here. And sharing with you inside this number, the 1.269, you see, our estimate is in excess of $250 million for the contractor to pay for his own engineering. And then the last but not least is the consulting cost for our own consultants from geotechnical to all the way to community mitigations. And the number we include here is 624 million. For the continue down the line, line item 90, unallocated contingencies by law, by definition, by requirement, by regulation. The feds, they asking for that number to be added there in order to be spread around in the line items if needed. And the last number, the 100, is our finance charges. Our CFO is going to take you through in a few minutes to show you where that number came from. And a new number which you never saw before, and I inserted here for full for the federal government to know and everybody, is that there is an investment today for phase 2. We have invested, VTA has invested 323 million from the year 2003 to year 2020. Where did they invest that money? They invested for us to be here today on an approved project with a clear environmental document, with a record of decision, with a community well informed. And to get to this point, that cost the last 17 years, 323. For our total project cost is 6,860,000,000. Madam Chair, some people will call you and tell you, oh, this is very expensive. Oh my God, this and that. And I have heard these stories all my career. Well, I'll leave you with a quick soundbite. There are 2 similar projects in California as we speak today. One is in LA, the Purple Line, federally funded. Average cost per mile, $1 billion plus. The second one, Madam Chair, is not too far away from here. It's about 30 miles north from here. It's the Central Subway in San Francisco, $1 billion per mile. These are subway projects in a very difficult areas. The LA Purple Line is in Beverly Hills and around UCLA and so on. For that, the $1 billion some dollars a mile to do projects like this is not really an unheard or any extraordinary number, and the federal government knows that very, very well. And the 2 projects I mentioned to you before, great projects, they're gonna have tremendous utilization, and LA was waiting 40 years for this project as well. It's not Bart. Bart is a wide gauge railroad. Everything has to be 1 foot wider, and it's much better, comfortable, right? And Bart is long, has 10 cars operation, and has very peculiar criteria, very comfort ride, and so on. for that. I feel good presenting to you today about this budget, and I can take it in any line item, any detail you want it, any way you would like to see it. And I know when we go through the review with the federal government, they're going to go chapter and verse on this one. One more point for all the directors. Some of you remember this format. The format I'm presenting you the budget today is the format I've been presenting to you for the last few months, every month on the phase one. Phase one follows the same format. Therefore, this is the federal government's format, and that's the one we need to follow. I have nothing else to add. I'm here to answer all your questions, and I'm going to pass it to my friend, our CFO on page 12, to take you through how he's going to fund this project. Raz?
Thank you, Tarkas. Good morning, Madam Chair and the board members. When Tarkas presented the cost of the project, all of the amount of the dollars were represented in year of expenditure. So all of the revenues that fund the project are also expressed in year of expenditure. So it's an apples to apples comparison. We are required to provide a detailed financial capacity plan along the submission of the EPD application to FTA. And we have developed one with help from our consultants, WSP, and I have on the line Nathan Masek, who is the Senior Vice President and Director of Finance, and he will take us through a summary of the financial capacity plan. And I will come back and talk a little bit after Nathan completes his presentation about the financing of the debt issuance plan. Nathan, with that, please take it over.
Okay, thank you, Raj. Just want to confirm you're able to hear me okay, and I'll proceed.
Yes.
Let's talk about the, thanks. Let's talk about the source of funds for the project. And in this case, we start with the assumption that there's a 25% federal match. So right off the bat, we see that grant at the top equal to 25% of the project cost from the EPD program. Then there are some other grants that have been received from other parties that help to fund a portion of the cost of the project. A $750 million TIRCP grant that's been awarded by the California State Transportation Agency. TCRP grant, which helped to fund some of the prior year costs of the project. We're anticipating some support from Transit-Oriented Development and P3 revenues as well. And then to skip to the last row, the last sort of external funding source is the Regional Measure 3 funds that of $375 million that were approved with the ballot measure last year that increased tolls on the Bay Area bridges. Then you see the other two major funding sources for the project are the 2000 Measure A sales tax, so continuing to use the capacity that Measure A provides to help pay for a portion of the cost of the project. And then the 2016 Measure B sales tax provides a similarly sized portion of funding for the project. Would just note that these sales tax revenue figures in terms of their capacity to support the project are reflecting an updated forecast of Santa Clara County taxable sales dated June 2020 that was prepared by UCLA Anderson School. So we do have updated information in here in terms of how your sales tax is anticipated to perform given the current economic downturn and what that might mean for the funding streams going forward to be able to pay for this project. We can go to the next slide. And let's talk a moment about a little more detail on use of funds. So one of the things that the federal government is concerned with is your use of financing for the project. And to the extent that you are taking out debt to pay for the project, that is a project cost in the FTA's eyes that's eligible for reimbursement by the federal grant. So you're actually getting a little bit more grant money from the feds to help pay some of the costs that you incur to help pay your cost of financing through the time period when the full grant is received from the federal government. So in this case, the finance charges are estimated to be around $250 million. And that breaks down as a portion of financing costs for grant anticipation notes, some for some Measure A financing and some for Measure B financing. And these amounts here are again through full receipt of the FTA grant in 2033. To the extent that VTA continues to pay debt on those beyond 2033, we'll talk about those numbers in a minute. So you take a base cost excluding finance charges of $6.6 billion, you add these $250 million in financing charges to it, and that sums to a total sources of funds for the program, total uses of funds for the program of $6.86 billion once we include financing charges. I think we can go to the next slide. Raj, if you want to pick it up again.
Sure. Thanks, Nate. This is an overview of the financing of the debt issuance plan for the project. If nothing else, there's one critical theme I want to emphasize, or one takeaway. The main goal is to minimize both financing and financing costs. In other words, pay as much as possible with pay-go or pay-as-you-go funds, and finance with the most optimal structure possible. What I mean by that is borrow when needed, number one, and the type of structure, whether it's short-term financing or intermediate or long-term financing, that depends on the project cash flow needs. For example, the first one, the grant anticipation notes. The federal grants are expected to be received over a period of about 12 years or so, from 21 to 33. And based on the project cash flow needs, we may have to bring it forward, which means we may have to borrow. And the construction financing we plan on doing on this is a shorter term notes, what I call the grant anticipation notes, which could be anywhere from 4 to 8 years. It could be shorter as well, but typically it's about 4 years or so. That's why it has a pretty low interest cost of about what we estimate about 1.67%. Right now, it is even lower, but we are talking about financing about 3 to 4 years from now. That's why we have slightly increases to give us a little bit of a room or a cushion, if you will. And the next one is the 2000 Measure A. Most of the intermediate financing we plan on doing using these because 2000 Measure A sunsets in 2036. Anything we borrow on this must be repaid before the measure sunsets. And again, the biggest cash flow needs start from 24 through 28. That's when all the heavy construction takes place. So we plan on using what is called intermediate term financing with 2000 Measure A funds. And last but not the least, on the 2016 Measure B, which still has over 25 years of life left, we plan on doing some longer term financing to even out the cash flows over the life of the measure. Just one thing I want to note in full disclosure, if somebody adds up all of these financing costs, 67, 160, and 56, they add up to 283. That's slightly higher than the financing cost on the previous slide, which Nate kind of rounded up to 250. 246 is the more precise number on that. The reason this is $37 million higher than what's shown in the previous slide is because the previous slide captures only the financing cost through the EPD grant application life, that is 12 years. And that portion partly will be reimbursed by the feds. That's why we have included only that. But the total financing cost is 283. So about $37 million higher, but that 37 will not be reimbursed by the feds. So that's the difference between the two financing costs on that. That's an overview on the financing. I think there's one more slide on the next steps, so I'll turn it over to Bart.
Yes, thank you, Raj. Madam Chair, this is my closing slide. I wanted to share with you and the board members and the public, of course, what my team and VTA and Bart we're going to do after we submit this application mid-July. We have outlined for ourselves 7 items. We're gonna initiate drafting of our procurement documents, working with our general counsel's office. Outside legal firms are going to join us. They are in the process of helping us draft the contracts. The Bart engineers, they are moving starting July 7th. They're gonna be co-located with our staff in our gateway building, and they're gonna start preparing the rail requirements for each of our contracts. Another lesson learned is don't wait for the end for Bart to tell you what they want or how they would like it. Take it in advance and make the bid, make the book, if you like it, from Bart, part of the bid documents. That's why I did it when I did the extension in San Mateo County and was very successful. And I think we're gonna do the same thing here. And Bart is very, very supportive of that. We're gonna begin the real estate acquisition. I wanted all of you to know that you might hear from residents that our people are talking to them or discussing with them and so on. For I initiate this process, remember we have 80 transactions to do. And our real estate department with an outside counsel, appraisers and everything else they need, they are gearing up. We're gonna continue our industry construction, industry outreach. It's my goal, Madam Chair, to increase the competition for our project here, to have as many as possible contractors pay attention to us, participate in the conversations. Therefore, not only we know from the industry what is the optimum way to proceed, but hopefully we maximize the number of bids. And we're gonna continue the stakeholders and community engagement. Yeah, that's an ongoing, you know, Bernice on my staff and her staff, they're gonna continue working on that. And one couple more items. We are in the process of analyzing a studying subject matter experts panel, a panel which will meet every 2 months with us, every month, every 3 months, and be like a expert advisory board to us when it comes down to tunneling issues, deep engineering issues, soil condition issues, stuff which are very esoteric to our trade, and always a second pair of eyes or multiple pair of eyes are better than one. And the last item, I'm working with our Chief Procurement Officer and the General Counsel. We have, Madam Chair, 6 firms working here who they provide consulting services. For that, we ask them 2 joint ventures and a separate firm. We ask them all to come together and produce for VTA an integrated work program. It's a similar plan to how Bart extensions were built. All the firms came together and they form one efficient way to provide the services. And I'm optimistic that they are listening and they're gonna work with us. Because if that's not the case and I don't feel I have an efficient operation, I will come before you with our general manager and ask you for authority to solicit new services. For that, I'm looking forward to get a good and efficient operation going on. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. And I want to thank all the staff for that presentation. I'm going to go to the public first and then to the board. And a couple things I just wanted to be clear about too, just as a reminder to my colleagues that we have a closed session that will take about 30 minutes. Our goal's so I just want to make you aware of that and make the staff aware that I've got my eye on that because we need a majority of folks to be able to discuss and take action. So with that, I'm going to ask the staff to go to the public and give everybody a minute to tell us what's on their mind relative to this presentation. Then we'll go to the board.
Roland, I will unmute you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
So a quick rundown of the email I sent you all at 6 o'clock in the morning on the contracting plan. Diridan is in the wrong contract. If you build it like this, the power station will never be integrated. On the cost estimates, we went from 4.7 to the 44 to 5.6, and now we've gone back to 44 and we have $6.9 billion. Professional services, well, go and look at what happened in phase 1. 2000 Measure A has gone up from $1 billion to $1.9 billion. You cannot put RM3 because it's in the court right now. You can put it part of that submittal. Financing costs are actually much higher. Phasing, our recommendation, I suggest you phase this in 2 phases, first to Diridan and then to Santa Clara. As the private sector, they can do this more cheaply. Involve MTC, and my final recommendation, if phase 1 didn't convince you that this is the wrong agency to be delivering this project, what will? Thank you, I yield my time.
Next is Liz, followed by Eugene, followed by Adina. Liz, I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Liz Ames, Bart Director for District 6, covering South Hayward to Fremont, your neighbor. And I wanted to thank the team and the board for acknowledging my comments on the size of the platform, which was a concern for me from the beginning. It was 24 feet wide. And with the stacking system, I believe that the platform in the downtown stations, there's 3 of them, that the platform will be larger. Maybe it's another 10 feet with the stacking. So thank you for doing that. My concern and what my constituents are saying is we need a constructability analysis to compare the single bore to the double, and just to show the taxpayers that we've got a cost-effective design here, and just for transparency purposes. So hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for your work, and look forward to seeing this go to San Jose sooner than later. Thank you.
Eugene, I am unmuting you. Accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
This is Eugene Bradley. I'm the founder and CEO of the Silicon Valley Transit Users, a public transit advocacy and watchdog group. I echo the concerns of the first 2 speakers in regards to this project. I don't know if anybody has ever read about how Samtrans was newly made bankrupt by its own BART extension into SFO and down into Millbrae. This is something that I've been seeing so far with this BART project, even coming down here to Silicon Valley, especially with the concerns about all the service cuts that have happened, especially since after 2000 Measure A was promised, which also promised increases to bus service, which has been the exact opposite of that. VTA, it is past time for VTA to be honest with voters as to what it's doing with BART and what it's costing in return with the loss of bus service. It is past time for VTA to reconsider cheaper, more effective means of building BART down there. And if that they can't do it, just stop the entire BART.
Adina, I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Adina Levin with Friends of Caltrain and Transbay Coalition, wanting to express some pretty significant concerns at the price tag and the risk. $6.5 billion is a very large sum to be taking on in one gulp. Breaking up this project into multiple pieces will significantly reduce risk. One of the concerns about this federal funding source is that the amount that is given by this source is fixed. And so if there is any additional cost overrun, that cost overrun will hit VTA and could lead to additional service cuts. So in order to protect VTA in the future and to protect service, would strongly encourage breaking this project up into smaller pieces to reduce the risk. Thank you.
Next is Beekman, followed by Monica. Beekman, I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the check. I'm no expert on the issue, but living here in the San Jose area for about 15 years now, I've noticed 2 very particular kind of earthquakes that happen. We just had an earthquake a few days ago. It was a very, very sharp jolt. And there's a very sharp jolt kind of an earthquake, and there's more of an undulating, rolling. I mean, it really has a rolling, undulating sense of an earthquake. And I thought to describe that to yourselves here at this time can be of help in some way in how you're going to build this one tunnel system. I personally felt that the 2 tunnels could mitigate the effects of an earthquake better. And I hope we can just be sober with the public in how we describe the one tunnel system. Thank you.
Monica, I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to agree with a lot of the previous speakers and express my concerns about the costs and the potential for cost overruns that could lead to even more service cuts and potentially bankruptcy for this agency. I agree with what Dina said about breaking this up into and doing one station one by one to help mitigate some of the risks. And as I say a lot of the time, I really want you all to consider the future and the impact that this will have on the future of young people right now. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our public speakers. And I really appreciate getting all of your feedback. I also just want to acknowledge Director Ames for joining us. Thank you for that. I'm going to now go to my colleagues to see if there are any questions or comments for the staff on this item. And there's no action. This is an information item. Any comments or questions? John McAllister.
Yes, thank you. So I know this was just an informational deal and we weren't really going to get into financing, but I had a question that on slide 12, you showed measure B at $1.83 million, but measure B put on their thing is that would be at $1.5 million, $1.5 billion. And I was wondering the difference on that came about capping at 25% of program tax, and how at the last board meeting we had a review of the projected reduction of Measure B money going from 6.3 billion to 5.2 billion, and how do those all numbers align themselves?
Thank you. Raj?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. McAllister. Excellent questions, both questions. Let me respond to the first one. The 1.5 was in present value or 2017 dollars, number one. And at the beginning of at least my presentation, I'm sure Takas mentioned this too, the costs of the project are in year of expenditure. That's from fiscal years 21 through 28. And so are the sources of revenues. They're in future dollars. They're not in 2017 dollars. Yes. Very cognizant of the cap in the measure, that 25, this is the below 25%. That is one. And the second thing, I believe your question was about the UCLA forecast. There again, at the last presentation, I was giving you a comparison of what was presented 3 or 4 years ago when the measure was put in place. Again, those days, the dollar amount the measure could generate was expressed in 2017 dollars. So I was giving a comparison of that based on the current forecast. I think if you go to slide either 12 or 13, there is a footnote which says all of the cash flows we have, the next one. Yes, the second footnote on this one, we have used the most current UCLA forecast, which is the same forecast I talked about. So this is based on their forecast and what would be available on the years of expenditure, whether the revenues would support that. And the answer is yes. It's within that forecast and it's within the 25% cap.
Okay, so I'll take offline, but I'm still a little concerned that if Measure B said 1.5, there may have been language in there to change it, but I'll take that offline with you. At another earlier presentation, we were showing a $600 million shortfall when Dennis gave us an upside, and they were hoping to get that from the PPP. And I was wondering if that is still the case.
No, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head recall the presentation you're talking about. The cost estimates have varied, and even the sources of funding have varied over the life of this project. So this is based on the current cost estimate Takas and his folks have come up with, and the funding sources are also based on the current estimates.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and Madam Chair, if I may just very quickly, I think it's important as we go through this presentation and then the subsequent, and we're very optimistic, approval from the federal government, that we focus on this alignment, this configuration, I don't think it would be helpful to compare to what we were talking about in the past, given that we have transitioned from a construction methodology that was deeper, more expensive, into a different configuration that is not $10 billion.
Thank you. We're going to go to Raul and then to Howard.
Hi, thank you, Chair. So actually, if you can go to slide 10. I'm just kind of curious here on the timing. I know that obviously, right, we've had some unexpected delays in phase 1, but it seems as though phase 2 here is reliant on a lot of even more crucial factors, considering, just the big one, which is this boring machine itself. I guess it's unique, right? In itself, sort of will be built as one of a kind. So what is our thought in regards to, really ensuring a strong timeline, and then ensuring some of these things, like the boring machine itself, right, are a really high priority, because we know of how important it is, right? If there's a delay in something like that, well, that just pushes everything back, versus some other things maybe, won't be as crucial.
Right, that's a great question, and that was my concern and my team's concern, and we talked to a lot of contractors for that. I feel comfortable, Director Morales, here with the duration for the tunneling machine. We went from the end point to the front point, and from the front to the end. For that, the good news, if there are any good news in this business, which is so difficult, we do have a similar operation is going on in the Commonwealth of Virginia now. They call it the Hampton Roads, and they're using a machine 2-3 feet smaller than ours. And we are talking with my counterpart there extensively, and the calculations came from their side plus all the contractors. For that, I feel good for the 70 months duration here. And again, all these things, it will be well established when we know who the winner is and when we know who is the engineer of the winning construction firm. We know pretty much to order the tunneling machine, it will be 10 to 14 months. That's what the industry average now is. For that, the best of our ability at this time, 70 months from when we start to when we finish is what we estimate. Hopefully we can do a little bit better than that.
Okay, thank you.
Howard?
Sure, I know Noria mentioned it, so I just want to comment. The alignment and the design changes, I'm actually really happy with, and I'm glad about the process that we went through. And I'm hoping that everybody else is smiling about what we've come up with there. On the machine, I worry a lot about, it's not just ordering it, but we need to get it ordered, delivered, and then it doesn't show up on the back of a pickup truck and you dump it on the street where you want to start, right? So 14 months, and then you put in all the other factors, and we need this in 24 months. So I echo the concern that we need to really map out getting this thing built and on site and into position is going to take a lot longer. I worry about, it wasn't mentioned, but the soil conditions in San Jose are different than what they're going through in LA and up north. And so I'm assuming that the 70 months includes the uniqueness of our water table and the fact that we're not cutting through base rock so much down there. And then my last comment was on Measure B. We're going to have to get probably clearer with the citizens. It is maximum 25% of program revenue. And then everything was noted in 2017 dollars. That's right in the text of the measure. And then there's the big number right at the top, 1.5 billion. And so when we put up numbers that aren't 1.5 billion, I think we're going to have to explain how we're getting to that being less than the 25%, or how we're getting that to be 1.5 billion. So those are just comments, not really questions.
Yeah,
I'll leave it.
And I can respond to the tunneling machine just for 2 minutes for your information. the machine, which we are not going to order it, the winner is going to order it, the contractor is going to order it. Therefore, I guess I'm trying to read your mind. You were afraid VTA's risk is not going to be our risk of the machine, it will be his risk. And it's a special and a unique machine. He cannot buy it in America, for as we discussed. And it's going to be a special, they call it mixed use machine, or EPBM, which is reflective of the soil conditions. We provide very, very extensive geotechnical information. And the second point I would like to leave you is this. The industry told us to use 50 feet a day production. Remember, we have 25,000 feet of tunneling. Decided to use 35 feet a day. Therefore, we allow a good contingency, if you like, a time contingency for us in case something happens along the lines you were talking, some unforeseen soil conditions or anything. For that, we were conservative on the production rates, and definitely we are going to work with the contractor to order this machine.
Yeah, publishing dates and stuff, we all worry about how long it will really take. And we just, it's always nice when you land on your date or before your date even, hey?
Yeah, I agree.
Are there any other questions or comments from my colleagues? I just wanted to, if there aren't, I wanted to just make a couple of recommendations and requests. One is thank you, and I want to really thank the staff for really digging into the numbers. And I recognize that the project schedule for us right now is a bar, and it will become a PERT chart or whatever the new way is that people that we do tracking. And the one recommendation I want to make is that the tracking document that we used at the very end of the process as we were getting ready to open Bart, I thought was a very helpful chart in terms of being able to see where we had challenges and what was a go, no go in terms of each step. And what I would just recommend is that as we bring this back to the board, that we go ahead and create that kind of a more dynamic chart so that the board really can see where the bars are moving. I think one of the challenges is not being able to answer the question, not just to the public, but even to ourselves about exactly what's going on. So that would be one recommendation. And then the second point that's raised by my colleagues, relative to resources and funding and the strategic framework that's being used, which is also very dynamic. My request would be that discussion be a separate discussion in the fall, that the staff can just dig into the finances with everyone. And I think one of the opportunities is as approvals get made relative to the expedited process and all of that, I think it's really going to help us start to be much more clear about investments and investment strategies. And then that's an opportunity to have a more dynamic discussion or a deeper dive into financing. And one thing I would recommend is we also use a workshop environment for that, so we're able to ask a lot more questions and something that's more of a give and take. Is that all right with the staff as next steps? And probably we're already included in your work plans anyway.
Yeah, yes, Madam Chair. As a matter of fact, as I was listening to the questions that came both public and the board members, I realized that it would be extremely helpful to have a workshop on Measure B because I think that there's, I won't call it misunderstanding, but there may be a need to explain the difference between the present value of the information that was in the measure when it was voted and the year of expenditure, which is what's used universally when we are funding and doing forecasting. And I think once that is understood, then we can move forward and have conversations about progress and how we're, whether or not we're using a benchmark and then working from that benchmark. But that one area, from what I've heard just now, I think we need to get that resolved and clearly understood by everyone. And I'm just going to ask Raj to say something very quickly because we need to move along.
We really do. So Raj, be very brief because we're going to have a whole discussion about this.
Absolutely. I just want to dispel some notion that somehow we are using different numbers. Anuria mentioned this. $1.5 billion was an estimated at a present value in 2017. The cap was a percentage, 25% over the life of the measure. But that is a critical distinction. Just to put numbers in perspective, in nominal dollars, in the year of receipts, it was $11.2 billion, which translated to $6.3 billion in present value. So if you look at the measure, this was 2015 forecast, by the way, the measure was supposed to have received $11.2 billion over 30 years, which got translated into PV 6.3. The cap is not necessarily 1.5, but 25% of the program revenues. So that's a distinction I want to make. We'll be happy to talk either in a public or a one-on-one with any of the board members in detail, as much detail as possible.
I think we're gonna do a workshop.
Yeah, and so let's not, because as soon as you start opening up one can of worms, then it's a whole worm can, so to speak. All right, so thank you for that. Are there any other questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item, and the next item is takes us to our general manager's report. And Nodia, I'm going to turn it over to you. Yes.
Yes, please. And so I just want to start, and thanks again, Madam Chair, members of the board and the public. Just want to start by, again, celebrating the opening of the Bart system. I know that was long awaited. Sorry that we could not have the large groups of investors, that is the general public, with us, given the COVID pandemic, which has also affected ridership. But nonetheless, it was a great event. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers, particularly our partners at the Federal Transit Administration, all the elected officials who were with this project from the very beginning, dating back to 1999, before it was put on the ballot in 2000. And then recognize, Madam Chair, you for serving as our Mistress of Ceremonies at two events, because we cut the ribbon both at Milpitas and at Berryessa, then at Milpitas, and then our partners at the Bart and their board members. One of the things that we did not spend a lot of time mentioning during the event was that we did reach out to some young adults to make drawings and express how they felt about public transportation, and we're showing those on our website. These are dates all the way back to young children, to others who contributed artwork. The winning illustrations are the digital signs. So if you visit the stations, you'll be able to see the digital illustrations that were created on the Bart about the Bart service coming to San Jose. With that, Madam Chair, I think you wanted to say a few words about both
Yeah,
the pioneers.
First of all, I want to say for all of you who were able to come, thank you so much. But the other thing is, I wanted to just acknowledge the leadership of former Bart member Tom Blaylock and former San Jose Mayor Gonzalez, who was also part of our board for 8 years and chaired it many times. This really would not have happened without the two of those men. And actually another man who made the initial connection was Dan Rich, who was also on the Bart board at the time. But I just wanted to say to all of you how really what a debt of gratitude we owe to both of them. Thank you.
Okay, and thanks again to all. I hope that you will take the time to ride. We're tracking the numbers, and I can share with you that the Saturday after the opening, we had over 2,000 trips. That number, of course, has reduced over the course of the week, but it's holding steady about 800 trips, which is 400 each way. And you know, we're in a pandemic, and we're still sheltered in place, and businesses are still opening very slowly. So please, I think this is a time to be positive, looking forward to seeing those numbers, an uptick on those numbers. Bart is reporting a slight uptick on their ridership, so that should all translate over the next 6 months into an average ridership more in line with what we had projected. But it will take time, just like it's taking time for people to find jobs who lost them during this pandemic. Let me just, earlier this month at our board meeting, I shared with you what all that we're doing to make sure that our customers feel safe on our system. We have invested significantly. I was pleased to read the governor's action yesterday requiring everyone who's outside to wear a mask, because it makes things easier for us in the public transit, as it's now has been a requirement for our customers to use masks, and our operators are fully geared up with their personal protective equipment to help not only those who are disabled, but then also we're continuing to have the rear door boarding. So there are so many things that we have done and we will continue to do. We're following guidelines, both at the national and then at the state level. We're also looking at best practices that the operators are sharing throughout our own region, and looking forward and incorporating some of the very good comments that we received from members of the public. But we recognize that it's not just in the things that we're doing. We need to check up on ourselves. And one of the things that I asked, and I tasked Jay Bailey, who heads up our EEO and civil rights group, was to do a survey to engage a firm that could help us reach our Clipper users, so the database of people that we know, and then those who are may or may not be using public transportation, to get their reaction to a series of questions. So with that as a preamble, I'm going to turn it over to Jay so that we can stay on schedule. And Jay, why don't you walk us through and then also introduce the members of the research team.
Thank you, Nuria. Good morning, Chair Chavez and board members. As we look towards recovery and restoration, we really wanted to try to get a snapshot of the public's perceptions and concerns about public transportation, particularly our VTA services. So we turned to our colleagues at EMC Research, with whom we had actually already been working pre-COVID, and we switched our focus to create and distribute a survey for this snapshot purpose. The goal was to do this quickly and efficiently while reaching a broad audience, as Nuria said, both riders and non-riders. And we're going to use these results to inform our next steps in the agency for planning and for outreach. We're joined today by several members of the EMC team to walk us through these results. We have EMC Principal Ian Stewart, as well as Jillian Prusa and Riley Galvin, I believe, on the line. So in the interest of time, I'm going to turn it directly over to Ian to walk us through.
And my apologies, my video seems to have failed and I can't seem to resurrect it, so we'll just continue. So EMC Research is a leading public opinion research firm in the Bay Area. And now I've got a request to start my video. See if I can get it to start, but I can't. So I'm just going to continue. And we have been doing a bunch of COVID surveys recently. We also work with a series of transit agencies. Let's move on to the next slide. So this survey, we did a mixed mode hybrid, which includes a live telephone and cell phone, email to web, and text to web survey of adults in Santa Clara County. We got that information for the universe from voter files and commercial lists, and we offered the survey in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. We chose the approach listed because it's the fastest way to do this, and it also captures a broad population. You can see we conducted the survey May 31st to June 4th. We ended up with a total of 790 interviews, which works out to an overall countywide Santa Clara adult margin of error of plus or minus 3.5 percentage points. That breakdown is 118 via phone and 672 via web. We also wanted to do an oversample of adult residents with lower household incomes. We did that because we wanted to make sure we had a good sample size of them. And by the end, we ended up with 254 of those individuals, working out to a subgroup margin of error for that universe of 6.2 percentage points, which is pretty good for that subgroup that we know we're really interested in for VTA. Let's move on to the next slide. So there's two groups we're going to talk about a lot in this survey in our short, brief 10-slide presentation. The overall results are all residents in Santa Clara County over 18, and the red bar is those who used to ride on VTA at least monthly or more in pre-COVID times. We're showing you a few demographics here of them, but we don't have much time on this, so you can look at this later if you're interested. Move on to the next slide. What we try to do on the left, you can see the overall demographics for a couple of questions for employment status. So we wanted to track here the previous unemployment status. So on the top is everyone who was employed full-time, 65%, and you can see after the pandemic started, that's dropped 7 points, now at 58% full or part-time employment. And you can see below also the unemployed was at 5%, now it's at 12%. So clearly we all know in the pandemic, unemployment has gone up. We want to understand that and then understand when people are going to return to work or a workplace. So we took those people who are currently employed. We asked before, what did you do outside of the home? How often did you work outside of the home? And then we said, what do you plan to do in the future? And if you look on the right side there, about half of them are going to be returning to the workplace less than before. So we've got our first indication that no matter what else changes, fewer people will be returning to work in the future outside of their home, which is an indication that VTA will be carrying less people. On the right side, we have the pre-COVID monthly riders. So this is the interested group we're looking at. They too see a decrease in employment and an increase in unemployment, a decrease of employment of 5% and an unemployment increase of 7%. And in the same vein, we asked them, did you work outside the home before and will you return? And only half of them said they're returning to the workplace less than before. So that says to us, once again, even among our more frequent riders, even they will be returning less to VTA than they were in the past. Let's move on to the next slide. So in the survey, we asked 3 major topic areas. We asked about ridership, both pre-COVID, current, as in today, and their potential future interest. This is sort of a future segmentation that we might be looking at, although we're only taking a very brief look at it today. We asked about general and transit-specific health and safety attitudes and concerns all around the question of COVID and returning and what would make you feel safer. And then we asked some of those employment and demographic questions I showed you. There are 4 major subgroups of interest. One is all VTA riders. That's someone who's been on VTA at any point, even if it was just once in the last year. Then we have the weekly riders, and that's the one that I think we're our bread and butter, right? The people who are on here every week, 1 to 7 days a week. That works out to about 8 percentage points of the entire universe. Then the monthly riders there, we expand the universe a little bit to get into everyone who's ridden at least once a month. That gets us to the 12-month category at 17%. And then our infrequent riders, those are people who've been on probably once, maybe twice a year, gets us at 32%. So those are all the interest groups we're going to be looking at in the survey. Let's move on to the next slide. So I'm sorry, it looks like the PowerPoint is cutting off some of my figures here. So when we look at our comfort in returning to public transit, we asked this question of the pre-COVID riders, and I'm going to reference these because I actually have it on my desktop. So the pre-COVID weekly riders is 8%, as I showed a minute ago. We asked this question to give them a sense of when will you be comfortable returning. 13% of those who are pre-COVID weekly riders, those are people who are with us at least once a week or more, said they're comfortable coming back now. The next one says masks are still, if masks are still required and people should still keep their distance based on what public health is saying, 41% of pre-COVID weekly riders said they'd be comfortable returning at that point. That's around where we are now, right? The next one is masks and keeping distance are strongly suggested, but larger gatherings are allowed. We're not there yet. 16% of those who are pre-COVID weekly riders said they'd be comfortable at this stage. And the last one was only when there's a cure or vaccine for COVID-19. 28% of pre-COVID weekly riders said they're not going to be comfortable returning until that phase is reached. So we can already tell, once again, the evidence is building here that people, including our weekly riders, are going to be hesitant to return through various stages of what's going to happen with COVID. And obviously, none of us can really see the future. So we don't quite know where this is going to go or whether we'll be able to stick to these phases. Many parts of the country haven't been able to. But these are at least what they told us they would be doing in terms of their return. On the right side there are the pre-COVID monthly riders. A very similar story, 10% comfortable now, 39% when masks are still required and people should keep their distance, 17% for masks and keeping distance are strongly suggested, and finally, 28% will only return with a cure or a vaccine for COVID-19. Move on to the next slide. So we looked at the same question, but we asked it much later in the survey. We said, if there's not a cure for coronavirus, but public health officials say it's okay to return to normal activities, how often would you ride VTA? And we've done this with the same groups we had before. So the pre-COVID weekly riders, that first bar, 54% of those will come back at least once a week. So once again, further indication that even if we get into this situation where COVID has not been cured and we're in this long-term question of what do we do, even weekly riders are indicating to us, at least at this point, they're not going to come back nearly as frequently. If they came back at the exact same frequency, this bar would be 100%, right? They'd be coming back at least weekly. The same thing is true for those who are monthly riders. That first 2 bars, the 35 and 22% are the monthly riders saying I'm going to return at least once a week or at least once a month, but that should be 100% as well, right? So in each of these instances, all of these groups are saying I'm going to be returning less if COVID is not cured. Let's move on to the next slide. So to close out our survey, we asked about what it would take to make you feel safe getting back on board. And we've got a list of these questions. So the first 2 are clearly far and away the most the most helpful to getting people get back on board. We asked this on a 7-point scale. I'm showing you the 7 and 6 percentages. So requiring all riders to wear a mask, 57% said that would make that feel a lot safer. Another 21% said it rated it a 6 on that scale. So clearly that is the best one that we could do to make people feel safe. And then cleaning buses nightly and every 2 hours using a bleach solution. That was the second most, but in fact, you can actually see it percentage-wise is even bigger, but it's not quite as intense as requiring all riders to wear masks or a similar face covering. We've got 2 other items on the list there, but I'm actually out of time. So I had to go as fast as I could there. We'll move to slide 10 and maybe I can answer your questions. And in the meantime, if you can pull up if we have a PDF of this, we can see the numbers a little bit better than what we did here in this PowerPoint.
Thank you. And thank you for being so timely. I'm gonna go to the public and let folks weigh in, and then I'll go to my board colleagues to see if there are any questions.
Okay, Beekman, I will unmute you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. To give accountable readings of revenue and quarterly reports at this time can help all of us better judge and follow the path of COVID-19 for the next few years. And please continue the important balance of mass transit needs and its good practices with the continually more experimental ideas and individual forms of public transit. It is our good mass transit practices that can help create, work towards creative ideas for public transit ideas. Good luck in that effort at this time. With the remaining time I have, I wanted to ask about, there's a heavy push towards broadband and Vision Zero technology in local communities at this time by the federal government. I hope, both as community and as government, we work together to practice minimal use practices and really limit ourselves in how we use and respond.
Roland is next, followed by Adina, followed by MOC. Roland, I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Thank you. And very briefly, I want to put some flesh on the actual numbers. Bart are publishing numbers daily, system-wide, and they're also giving a separate number for various meters. On Sunday, I actually mapped this percentage. On Sunday, various meters accounted for 4.6% of the overall system. On Sunday, it went down to 3.3%. And every single day of this week is being 0.9. Bart ridership is going up right now. It's gone up by about 2,500 passengers a day since Monday, but we have only gone up by 34 passengers. In closing, what I want to say is that every transit agency needs to watch very, very carefully what Bart are doing, because they're doing it right, and they're going to be the leaders as to how we're going to bring ridership back to all our transportation systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Adina, I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Adina? Maybe we have to come back to her.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Adina.
Terrific. So Adina Levin with Friends of Caltrain, glad to hear this important update about health and safety. A few comments. It's really great that VTA is doing this study and research on riders. The pandemic is the same around the Bay Area, and it would be helpful to have agencies have research that is consistent because it's the same pandemic and the research will go further. In terms of masks, which are very important according to what research is showing, TriMet is installing mask dispensers in all of its 700 buses. That would be a useful thing for VTA to do to increase safety. The question is asking people what makes people feel safe, but I think there's a communication need, because what makes people actually safe is science. So if that science can be known and then communicated to the public, that would be the most helpful. Thank you.
Next is initials MOC. I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Yeah, hi. I've ridden the light rail for 30 years. This is Martha O'Connell, sometimes 10 times a week because I go on more than one trip. We need enforcement, folks. The bus, I'm talking on the light rail, not the buses. They already have assaults on the light rail. They cannot enforce people getting up for seniors that need a disability seat. They can't enforce all the other mundane rules. And I'm concerned that they're not going to be able to enforce rules which constitute a life and death matter. We've got to have enforcement of the masks and the social distancing. And I don't see how that's realistically going to happen when the light rail driver is up ahead and can't even see what's happening. And when you push the button, which I have done when threatened with box cutters, he says, well, that's not my job. We'll have to wait till the next station and get the sheriff involved. We need enforcement. Thank you.
Next, Monica, I am unmuting you. Accept the unmute and begin speaking.
Hi, I just wanted to agree with what Adina said about the mask dispensers, and I think that that would also address some of the concerns that the commenter before me had mentioned about enforcement. If we actually have masks available for riders, then there will be less need to have enforcement. It's really difficult for people to actually get masks, and they're not available in a lot of stores, and they sell out very quickly, and a lot of riders can't even afford them at all. So I think that instead of focusing on enforcement, we should really be making sure that people have the masks that they need to follow the no mask, no ride requirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all of our public speakers. Let me see if there are any questions or comments from my colleagues. John?
Yeah, this is a great report. I really appreciate staff and reaching out to get the data to hopefully will support future policy decisions on ridership and transit and funding, et cetera. And I was wondering, how does staff intend to implement some of the information that, or how to use the data that they've received and implement it towards busing routes going forward?
Nuria or Jay?
Yeah, yes, so that's a very important question, and that's one of the reasons why, as you have heard me say before, it's about the data, not the speculation. And so we've got the data, and it's all driven, of course, by COVID. And what we heard loud and clear is that individuals will feel safer if we continue with the distancing, and that once there's a vaccine, that would bring back not 100%, but a larger percentage of those who have been frequent users of our system. But as we take this data and we overlay the realities of what we're experiencing in our service area, that is, not every company, every business is open at this point, that we're at stage 2. So that also is reflected in the ridership that we are experiencing today, and the decision of those who have contributed to the survey. Because one of the things that I was not clear with the survey, and it may be in here, is whether the individuals that we spoke with were recently unemployed or if they're still employed and using other means for mobility. So if it's in here, we're good to provide some information on that. We're going to take this information, and one, it's going to help frame our marketing. It's going to continue to direct how we are doing our cleaning and sanitizing. We're looking at technology. I've described this before at the last board meeting, talked about some new technologies that we're looking to in order to help us with disinfection and other means. And it's we as staff are continuing to recommend to the board that we provide service as we have been doing today. We will know over the next few months if it becomes a financial issue that we would need to look at reducing service. But as of right now, I would encourage the board to continue supporting our our process of providing 100% of the service, because we're serving all kinds of people and we don't know where they are. But we know that if we're not there for them, that they're going to have to, and they don't have other means to getting to their essential jobs, they're going to have to be looking to others and hopefully not buying a vehicle or doing anything that may not be something they can absorb in their budgets. So yes, this is important data. Yes, we will be using this data in many ways. We have a recovery plan, which we shared with you last time. And that recovery plan has many steps in it. And this will continue. This is one of the areas that's going to help us now fine tune and have laser focus on some of the things that the public is saying, unless I see this, I'm not coming back. Now, in closing, I just want to say, Madam Chair, that the reality is that public transportation was never intended to carry 6 to 10 people, not on a 40-foot bus. And as a region, we are talking, we heard about Bart and its increase. I rode Bart and I was in a car that was full on Sunday. So it's really having people do what they're supposed to be doing, which is wearing masks. You're not supposed to leave your residence unless you're wearing a mask. And with that mask and other methods that we're going to be exploring, we would hope that we can start to increase the ability to have more people riding our system. We're working with the Federal Transit Administration and others as they are updating their guidelines in recognition that with the reopening of the economy, we have to be prepared and ready to accept the riders that need to get where they need to go. And we won't be able to order as many more buses as we would love to, because they don't build those buses in a week. So with that, Madam Chair, I'm happy to take any further questions from board members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neria.
Comments? Thanks, John. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm gonna just say first, I appreciate that the poll was done, that research was done, and you all have it in your packets. And I know that the staff has a ridership committee and an innovation committee. And I'm going to ask that once the innovation ridership committee have taken a look at this just come back, Nuria, as under your report of what we're learning and how we're going to use it. Because I think, John, that's the right question, which is good information. Now what, right? Let me move on then to, let me see if there are any comments on, oh, we already did that. Thank you. Okay, so we're now going to move to the chairperson's report. And let me just say under my report that I have been working on a remote work committee, and I know a number of you have participated in that. I wanted to say thank you for that. And part of that remote, what I wanted to let you know is that we've had some requests of VTA in a really positive way, that we have the community colleges, and the colleges are really interested in looking at how the changes they have to make in the fall are really lining up with our routes. And so it kind of speaks to the point of the discussion we just had. And so I'll be inviting staff to have a conversation with those organizations. The second thing I wanted to highlight is that Nuria and Supervisor Cortese both sit on the Blue Ribbon Commission to Reimagine Transit. This is an MTC commission, but as part of that commission, they are discussing what financing may or may not be available to our agency and other agencies around the Bay. I am going to be reaching out to all of you to weigh in on this, and I'm going to be asking for both letters and phone calls from you to help us really help the commission understand the needs of VTA and how important this region is. And I'll just say that I think we always struggle with that with MTC because we're not San Francisco and Alameda County. This is not the time for us to be silent here. So I'll be reaching out to ask for your help, and you'll get an email from me along with some ways that you can assist in making our voices heard at a regional level. Are there any comments or questions on my report? Jeannie.
Yeah, as a member of the MTC Commission, I would ask that also if people could take some time and give me a call and talk me through not only any letters and such that are being submitted, but let's have a conversation so we're in a stronger position. Thank you.
And Jeannie, I'm assuming that staff is doing that with you now.
Haven't started it yet.
Okay, so I'm going to ask, just thank you, Jeannie, for raising that. Make sure that staff is talking to our delegation. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to move on to item 8.3, and this is items of concern and referral to the administration. Do we have any from my colleagues? Seeing none, what you'll see in your packet is I sent a letter to Nuria asking that we take a look at mobility, particularly as it relates to bikes and scooters, and it'll come back. I'm asking Nuria to review that letter. This is for a last mile solution, and that'll go to I hope to, for Nuria and I to have a conversation. We'll bring it to GNA before too much work is done on anything like this. I really just wanted to get staff's perspective on this, so below that 5-hour limit, and then we'll bring it to GNA for a deeper conversation about whether or not we should or could be moving forward on research and or other activities relative to scooter and bike share. Any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, we have one member of the public. We'll take a comment from that public member, and then we'll move on to the next item.
Beekman, I will unmute you, accept the unmute, and begin speaking.
Hi, this is Blair Beekman. I wanted to comment, this sounds like an item that related to an earlier topic I discussed about in public comment about data collection and what could be good data collection with bike and scooter issues. In San Jose, they're starting a new geofencing program, and that just collects a ton of information and data from many different things besides scooters. And along with signal timers, those are two products and that really need good public policy practices involved with it. And it's just, that's like my whole purpose is to help make that easier to understand for yourselves, and so you can work on the issue. And so I wish you luck on it, and practice good broadband practices. Be responsible with broadband technology. Thank you.
Next, Roland. I will unmute you, accept the unmute, and begin speaking.
Thank you, and through the chair, I would like you to refer to the administration what happened with the Measure A auditor. We could possibly have had the same auditor for the last 12 years. I think they should be referred to GNA and put appropriate revisions in the administration code. The other thing I'd like to bring to your attention is that I'm unable to locate the CAC bylaws anywhere. They're referred in the administration code, but they're not found anywhere. So I've just had to issue yet another PRA for the CAC bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll find those bylaws for you. I'm going to come back to the board, and just let me talk about some next step. Well, let me ask this. Are there any announcements from board members? I don't see any. And so we're going to go into closed session. And I just want to remind my colleagues that we have a kind of a meaty item in closed session. We're going to discuss that item in closed session. We're going to move to a different mode. I'm going to let Elaine explain that. Then we're going to come back because we have to have a majority to be able to report out.
Yes, this is Elaine. So I just wanted to remind everybody the calendar invite with the link to the Teams meeting has been sent to you around 11:02, resent to you about 11:02 today. If you can please just click the link and it will get you to the Teams meetings. This is the same one that we did last June 4th. And the reminder for everyone to please mute your audio and your video while we're on closed session. Thank you.
Elaine?
Yes.
I did not receive the 11:02
Okay.
alert.
I will go ahead and re-forward to you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, see you in closed session.
Member McAllister and Member Miller, I will be turning off your video if you are unable to do so.
All right, we're just going to give folks a minute and then we'll ask Evelyn to do our report out. So Raul, we have a new board member. That's awesome. Hello. He's like, this is my nap time. But I'm going to hang out with you guys. So Evelyn, you want to report out?
Let me find out where she is. This is Elaine. Hang on for a sec.
She unmuted herself. So.
I unmute?
Yes, we can hear you. No, we can hear you now. Would you do the report out?
Yes, I'm sorry, I could not get back onto the video for Zoom. So I'm glad my audio is still working. Yes, the report out is that the board did not take any reportable actions in closed session for this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks everybody. And really appreciate all of your smart questions and your being prepared for the meeting and the like. We're now adjourned, and we are not adjourned to any particular date or time, but we are adjourned from this meeting. Have a blessed rest of your day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.